All right, so these are those questions that Landon you asked me to go over. So these are numbers 19 through 25 odd from the homework from last week, I think it was, or the week before, on page 236. Okay, so what you had to do for each of these is write them in standard form. And remember, your standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c. And remember, your a and b have to be whole numbers, so you can't have fractions, and your a has to be positive. So we're going to go through each of these. Number 19 was y minus 10 equals 2 times the quantity x minus 8. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute this 2. So I get y minus 10 equals 2x minus 16. And then I have to move this 2x over, and I have to get rid of the constant, because remember, c is just your constant. So I'm going to add 10 first. I'm left with y equals 2x minus 6. Now again, I'm trying to get it into this form, so I need to move my 2x over. And that gives me negative 2x plus y equals negative 6. And because your a term has to be positive, I'm going to multiply this entire thing by negative 1. And when I multiply everything by negative 1, I get positive 2x minus y equals positive 6. That is your answer for number 19. Number 21. Sorry, I'll start making my 2's more like this. Number 21 was y minus 9 equals negative 6 times the quantity x plus 9. So remember, your standard form is ax plus by equals c. C's are your constants again, which means just numbers, like just numbers, no variables. And your a term and your b term have to be whole numbers, and a cannot be negative. So I'm going to distribute first. Y minus 9 equals negative 6x minus 54. I'm going to add my 9 over. Could you subtract your or add your 6x? Of course you could. This is just the way I do it though. So that's, if you want to do it different, please feel free. Okay. Now I'm going to add my 6x. And remember, these are not like terms, so you can't just add them together. So you're at 6x plus y equals negative 45. Now, this is okay. This negative is okay because it's not in the a position. All right, so this would be your solution for number 21. Okay, let's go to number 23. 23 says, sorry, I'm done with my 2's. Number 23 is y plus 7 equals 9/10 times the quantity x plus 3. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. And when I do this, I get x plus y equals 9/10 x. And then again, when I do 9/10 times 3, I can put the 3 over 1 and multiply straight across, and I get 27 over 10. So plus 27 over 10. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to again subtract my 7. What is that? There we go. And remember, when I do this, I do 27 over 10 minus 7. This is not saying negative 7 plus 27 over 10 or negative 7 minus 27. You have to keep it in order. And when we do this, we put this over 1. I have to find my least common denominator, which is 10 in this situation. So I get 27 over 10 minus 70 over 10, which ends up giving me negative 43 over 10. Okay, so I'm going to substitute that in. I keep my 9/10 x. And this becomes a minus 43 over 10. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this 9/10 x on both sides. And I'm at negative 9/10 x plus y equals negative 43 over 10. Now, this is not in standard form yet because we have a fraction here. We can't have a fraction in the a term or the b term, and a is a negative. So in order to do that, in order to get this to become out of a fraction, I'm going to multiply it by the denominator, which is 10, And I'm also going to multiply it by a negative in order to make this term a positive. When I do that, I now have to distribute this negative 10 to each term. Okay? So negative 10 times negative 9 over 10. If I were to put this over 1, I get positive 90 over 10, which simplifies to 9. So I get 9x. Negative 10 times a positive 1 is a negative 10y. And negative 43 over 10 times negative 10 over 1. These two become positive. You get 430 over 10, which simplifies to 43. And there's your solution for the second one. It's an ax plus by form. It's okay if this is not a plus. It can be a minus. It's the same thing. Like you could put plus negative 10y. That's the same thing. A and B are both whole numbers, and A is positive. So we're done there. So last but not least is number 25. Number 25 reads 2y plus 3 equals negative 1/3 times the quantity x minus 2. So again, I distribute first. So I get my 2y plus 3, that stays the same, no change. Negative 1/3 x. Now remember, negative 1 over 3 times negative 2. I put the 2 over 1 and multiply straight across when I multiply fractions. So negative 1 times a negative 2 is positive 2. 3 times 1 is 3. So I get a plus 2 over 3. I'm now going to subtract my 3 on both sides. And I get 2y equals negative 1/3 x. So I'm going to do 2/3 minus 3 over 1. Find my least common denominator, which is 3. So I multiply this by 3, and what I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. So you get 2/3 minus 9 over 3, which gives me negative 7 over 3. Okay. Now again, I need to move my x value over, so I add my 1/3 x. Now these aren't like terms, so I can't combine them, so I'm just going to write them next to each other. 1/3 x plus 2y equals negative 7 over 3. Now this is not in my standard form yet, because this is a fraction. And so in order to get it out of a fraction, I need to multiply it by its denominator. So when I multiply by 3, I get 3 times 1 over 3, which equals 3 over 3, which equals 1. So I get 1x. 3 times 2y is 6y. And negative 7 over 3 times 3, put that over 1. Negative 21 over 3 is equal to negative 7. Or you could just cancel those out and see you get your negative 7. And here's your answer for number 25. Okay? If you have any questions, I will see you guys at tutoring tomorrow. Bye.